Have you ever heard a house sigh? Not the creaks and groans of settling wood, but a genuine, leaving breath. On the edge of town, where the streetlights give up and the woods begin, stands a house that does more than just sigh. It breathes, and at its heart is a single, solitary door, bound in rusted chains. They say it started after the old Miller place was abandoned. At first, it was just whispers among the local kids, stories of a house that seemed alive. They'd dare each other to get close, to stand on the overgrown lawn and just listen. On quiet nights, when the wind was still, they'd hear it, a slow, deep inhale that seemed to draw in the very silence of the night, followed by a long, mournful exhale that rattled the loose window panes. The sound, they swore, came from behind one particular door, a heavy oak door at the end of the main hall, a door that hadn't been opened in decades. The walls themselves seemed to carry the sound, faint at first, like the wind whistling through a crack. But the longer you stayed, the clearer it became. It wasn't the wind. It was the rhythmic, organic sound of respiration. Inhale and exhale. And exhale. The house was breathing, and that door was its mouth. The last person to ever rent the Miller place was a quiet man, a writer looking for solitude. He lasted less than a month. He was seen one evening at the town's only bar, his face pale, his hands shaking. He told anyone who would listen, "It's the door. You can't be near it. Never knock," he warned, his voice trembling, "because it knocks back." He paid his tab, left town that night, and was never seen again. His warning, however, became part of the legend. Those brave or foolish enough to trespass reported something even more disturbing than the sound. They claimed to see the door itself move, not swinging on its hinges, but something far more unnatural. The flat, wooden surface would slowly swell outwards, the grain of the oak straining as if a massive pair of lungs were inflating just behind it. Then, with a low, groaning sound, it would deflate, sinking back into its frame. It was a slow, deliberate motion, perfectly in sync with the breathing that echoed through the empty halls. Inevitably, the legend became a challenge, a test of courage for the town's restless teenagers. One moonless October night, a group of 5 decided to see for themselves. Armed with weak flashlights and the nervous bravado of youth, they slipped through a broken window, their laughter echoing unnaturally in the oppressive silence of the house. Their goal was simple: get to the end of the hall and touch the breathing door. The air grew colder as they approached. The breathing was louder here, a physical presence in the dark. It wasn't just a sound, you could feel it, a subtle pressure against your eardrums. With each exhale, they reached the door, its surface dark and ancient, the chains coiling around it like petrified snakes. After a moment of tense hesitation, one of them, a boy named Leo, reached out a trembling hand and pressed his palm flat against the wood. The laughter died in their throats. Leo snatched his hand back as if he'd been booned. "I felt it," he whispered, his voice cracking. "I felt a heartbeat." He described it as a slow, heavy thud. Thud, like something massive and ancient resting just on the other side. It wasn't the frantic beat of something scared. It was calm, patient, and impossibly, terrifyingly human, as if his touch had woken it. A new sound joined the breathing, a soft, muffled sob, filled with a despair so profound it chilled them to the bone. The sobbing was quickly replaced by something else. Scratching, frantic, desperate scratching from the inside, as if someone or something was clawing at the wood, trying to get out. Or maybe trying to get to them before they could run, before they could even scream. A sound like a rifle shot cracked through the house. One of the chain links, thick as a man's thumb, snapped. Then another, and another. Wheat, a final agonizing groan of tortured metal. The chains fell away, clattering onto the floor. Slowly, with a deep creak that sounded like a sigh of relief, the door began to open on its own. It moved just a few inches, but it was enough. A wave of air washed over them, a cold, foul gust that smelled of damp earth and something sweet, like decay. What happened next was a blur of chaos and terror. The story comes from the only one who made it out. A girl named Maya. She was the furthest from the door, and she just ran. She didn't look back. She just heard the screams of her friends. Screams that were abruptly cut short. She said it was like the door breathed them in. A sudden, sharp inhale, and then silence. Just the slow, steady rhythm of the house breathing once more. She burst out of the house, screaming that the door had taken them, that it had eaten them. No one was ever found. The police searched the house. Of course, they found the broken chains and the open door. But Bandit, there was nothing, just a small, empty, dust-choked closet. No secret passages, no hidden rooms, nothing. The house stands empty again, condemned. New chains have been wrapped around the door, thicker this time, secured with heavy padlocks. But the locals know it makes no difference, because if you drive by late at night, and you cut your engine, and you just sit there in the dark and listen, you can still hear it. The slow, deep inhale, and the long, patient exhale. The house is still breathing, and it's waiting. Thanks for joining me in the shadows tonight. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more Tales from the Dark. Stay safe, and always check what's behind the door.